You never expect the fire until it burns you. Until one day, you're sitting there and it hits, the phone call, the betrayal, the failure, the loss. Everything changes. Maybe you've built your life like a fortress. You've done your best. You worked, you gave, you tried. But what happens when things fall apart anyway? What happens when people disappoint you, when the job slips from your hands? When you're left staring into a silence that once echoed with laughter? This series isn't about motivational fluff. It's about something deeper. More ancient. More dangerous. It's about training yourself to stand calmly in the storm, not by pretending it doesn't exist, but by becoming something greater than it. This is Stoicism not as a philosophy on a bookshelf, but as a weapon forged in the fires of real life. Part 1, the first battle is within. When the world breaks, the first thing that breaks is inside. Fear. Panic. Rage. Despair. These rise faster than any external collapse. And so, before we go to anything external, we begin within. 1. The internal earthquake. When your boss fires you. When your partner walks away. When the test results come back positive. Your thoughts go first. Why is this happening to me? What do I do now? It's not fair. Notice this. That storm? It's not the event. It's your interpretation of it. This is the first teaching of the Stoic mind. Nothing outside of you has the power to destroy your inner peace unless you allow it. The Stoics never denied that life was brutal. In fact, they stared directly into it and sharpened themselves against it. 2. Marcus Aurelius in war. Imagine being Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, fighting off plagues, political betrayal, and barbarian invasions. He didn't sit in luxury writing poetry. He wrote his journal, Meditations, in the dirt, often cold and surrounded by death. He was the most powerful man in the world, but even he didn't control the chaos. What he did control was the space between stimulus and response. He wrote, "If you are pained by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your judgment about it. And it is in your power to wipe out that judgment now." That's the battlefield. Not the empire. Not the army. But the mind. 3. The modern storm, your phone, your feed, your fear. You are not a Roman emperor, but your war is real. It's in your phone. Your news feed. The constant buzz of distraction, fear, comparison, doubt. It's subtle, but constant. And unless you train your inner world, the outer world will always own you. That's why Stoicism begins where most people never look, attention. 4. Teaching, guard your inner fortress. The Stoics taught that you must separate what you control from what you don't. Draw this line. What I control, what I don't control. My thoughts, other people's opinions. My actions, traffic. My effort, outcomes. My values, whether. My words, whether others understand me. When chaos hits, draw this map immediately. This gives you clarity in the fog of panic. Seneca said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." And he was right. Most people don't suffer because of events. They suffer because they never learned how to respond to events. 5. Example, the breakup that shattered you. Let's say someone you love walks away. You feel crushed. Maybe worthless. Maybe you start thinking you'll never be loved again. That you weren't enough. But that's not the breakup hurting you, that's your interpretation of it. The Stoic, in that moment, doesn't deny the pain. But they say, what part of this is under my control? You didn't control their heart. You didn't control their choice. But you control your next thought. You control the story you tell yourself after the ending. That's your weapon. 6. How to begin training. This isn't about suppressing emotion. It's about clarifying emotion. Ask, is this emotion helping me or harming me? Is it based on reality or a story I'm inventing? What am I actually in control of right now? One of the most powerful techniques is the Stoic pause. Before you speak, pause. Before you act, pause. Before you spiral, pause. In that pause, there's a window. And in that window, there's freedom. 7. Tools to practice daily. The morning reflection. Each morning, ask yourself, what chaos might I face today? How will I choose to meet it? Anticipation sharpens you. It doesn't make you paranoid, it makes you prepared. B. The evening review. Each night, ask, where did I lose my calm today? Why? What can I do differently tomorrow? This practice, if done daily, rewires your nervous system. C. The is this mine test. When something upsets you, ask, is this truly mine to carry? If not, let it go. Not with anger. Not with bitterness. But with clarity. 8. The things they can't take. Epictetus said, there is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things beyond our power. They can take your money, your job, your health, your relationship. But what they cannot take is your ability to respond. Your calm, your discipline, your wisdom. Unless you give it away. 9. Why most people never learn this. Because it's easier to blame the world than to master your mind. Victimhood is seductive. Rage is addictive. Panic is contagious. But power, real power, is quiet. It's controlled. It's earned. You don't buy this mindset. You build it. Every moment of chaos is a chance to build it. 10. The silent force inside you. If you take nothing else from this part, take this. You are not powerless. You may feel shaken. But deep inside you is a place that cannot be touched by the chaos. The Stoics called it the ruling faculty, the core of judgment and will. Your job is to return to it, again and again, until it becomes who you are. Ending Tease, the next step. You've learned the battlefield is the mind. That your response is stronger than the world's noise. And that peace is not an accident, it's an inner weapon. But what happens when the chaos comes from people you love? What happens when the betrayal is personal? When the wound is not an accident, but a choice? In part 2, we go deeper into emotional armor, betrayal, boundaries, and how to stay calm when the people who hurt you were once the ones you trusted most. Betrayal, boundaries, and the calm that cannot be broken. Part 2, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Seneca. The betrayal you didn't see coming. You can prepare for storms, but some of the deadliest come from the hands of those closest to you. The friend who vanishes. The partner who lies. The family member who wounds you again and again. The person you once defended, who now strikes when your guard is down. This is a different kind of pain. One that doesn't just hit your mind. It pierces your identity. You wonder if you ever truly knew them. Worse, you wonder if you ever truly knew yourself. Part 3. When the enemy is inside the gates. You've survived betrayals. You've walked through silence, rejection, abandonment. But what happens when it's not the world that's breaking? What happens when you are? You can't sleep. You're overthinking everything. Your failures scream louder than your past victories. There's a coldness in your chest, and you don't know if it's grief, guilt, or simply the weight of being alive. This is the final storm. The collapse that happens in the soul. And if you can face this one, nothing outside of you will ever control you again. 1. The war of self-blame. Sometimes life falls apart because of you. You made the mistake. You said the wrong thing. You hurt someone. You failed yourself. Again. The Stoic doesn't deny this. Stoicism isn't about pretending you're innocent. It's about owning your role without drowning in it. Seneca said, "No man was ever wise by chance. Wisdom requires friction. It requires error, pain, confrontation. So first, stop running from your shame. Turn and face it. Ask it. What are you trying to teach me? Because that's how it becomes growth, not identity." 2. Teaching, guilt versus responsibility. There is a difference between guilt and responsibility. Guilt paralyzes. It says, "I am wrong." Responsibility empowers. It says, "I did wrong. Now I do right." You are not the past. But you are the person who must transform it. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters." If you regret, do not sit in it. Stand through it. Use it like fuel. 3. Example, the one you lost. You pushed someone away. Maybe you didn't know how to love. Maybe you were afraid. Now they're gone. And it haunts you. Here's the Stoic frame. Ask, did I act against virtue? If yes, what can I restore? Not who, but what? Character. Discipline. Wisdom. Accept. Some things don't return. But your clarity can. Let pain be the price that pays for better vision. Let loss teach you precision in how you treat the next soul who walks into your life. 4. What to do when your thoughts turn against you. Negative thoughts don't need to be destroyed. They need to be disarmed. The Stoic method? A. Name them. Call them what they are. Fear. Regret. Insecurity. Fantasies of failure. B. Challenge them. Ask, is this thought helping me live with virtue, or dragging me into chaos? Would I speak this thought to someone I love? If not, let it go. 5. The art of Stoic stillness. You don't need all the answers right now. You need to be still long enough to hear your own clarity. Stillness doesn't mean inactivity. It means choosing a center that isn't shaken by every wave of emotion. Marcus wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." Stillness is the retreat you can take every single day in 5 breaths. In silence. In watching your emotions pass like clouds, instead of becoming the storm. 6. Exercise, the inner storm journal. Once a day, write. What thoughts tried to dominate me today? What virtues did I practice or forget? What is truly under my control right now? End it with a vow. I begin again. I return to myself. Even Marcus had to remind himself every day to return to who he wanted to be. So will you. 7. When you feel worthless. There will be days when you feel small. Days when you feel like everything you've done is meaningless. Here is what Seneca said. Begin at once to live, and count each separate day as a separate life. Your worth is not based on who approves of you, what you've achieved, how perfect your life looks. Your worth is in your character. If you speak truth when lying would be easier, you're strong. If you stay calm when chaos surrounds you, you're rare. If you rise after falling, you're alive. And being fully alive is the rarest power of all. 8. The final practice, return to the center. Everything you need is already inside you. That sounds cliché. Until you realize you're the only person who's been there for every version of yourself. You held yourself through your lowest night. You're holding yourself now. You've endured. So here is the final Stoic exercise. A. Say aloud. I am not my fear. I am not my past. I am the one who observes. The one who acts. The one who returns. B. Reflect on this. If life ended tomorrow, what would matter more, how much you achieved, or how much you kept your peace, your dignity, your direction, when everything tried to steal it? That's the legacy of calm. That's the Stoic victory. 9. Summary, the 3 storms you survived. Across these 3 parts, you've walked through every collapse. The external collapse, when the world around you falls apart. The collapse of others, betrayal, loss, and boundary. The inner collapse. When your thoughts, guilt, and silence turn against you. And through each one, the Stoic path has been clear. Act with virtue, not vengeance. Protect your peace, not your pride. Be ruled by principle, not impulse. Accept what is, control what you can, and return to yourself. This is how you stay calm. Not because the world is gentle, but because your soul is powerful. Closing reflection. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire. He buried children. He endured betrayal. He fought wars. Yet his writings are calm, clear, grounded. Because he lived by one truth. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. You have that same power. You always have. Now the question is, will you live like it? Ending, this is not the end. You came looking for calm. What you found is something more. Inner clarity. Command of your emotions. The dignity of walking through storms with a still mind. But this is not the end. This is where the real practice begins. Not in videos. Not in ideas. But in the moments when no one is watching. When you wake up tired. When someone disappoints you. When your thoughts spiral at 2 a.m. That's where calm becomes real. Let them wonder how you stay so unshaken. You'll know. You trained for this. 1. Why betrayal cuts so deep? Pain isn't just about the event, it's about what it meant. When a stranger insults you, it might sting for an hour. When your sibling or partner does it, you replay it for months. Why? Because you didn't just lose someone. You lost certainty. You lost a version of the world you believed in. That collapse of meaning is what creates the real chaos. Not their words. Not their silence. But what it says about everything you thought was real. 2. What Stoicism says about people who hurt you. Epictetus didn't sugarcoat betrayal. He said, when someone provokes you, remember that it is your own opinion which provokes you. This doesn't mean it's your fault. But it means you must claim your power over how you interpret and respond to betrayal. He also wrote, if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. That's brutal honesty. But it's also liberating. It means you're not trapped. You're not a victim of someone else's immaturity, manipulation, or abandonment. You're still the ruler of your internal kingdom. 3. The power of disengaged clarity. Most people respond to betrayal with anger, obsession, guilt, overthinking. But the Stoic trains themselves in disengaged clarity. That means observing without judgment. Letting facts speak louder than feelings. Responding from principle, not reaction. Think of Marcus Aurelius. He wrote, whenever you are about to find fault with someone, ask yourself the following question. What fault of mine most nearly resembles the one I am about to criticize? In betrayal, the first step is not to justify them. And not to attack them. But to observe without illusion. For example, the friend who switched sides. Let's say you trusted someone with your pain. You shared your secrets. Your story. Then one day, they use it against you. They tell others. Maybe they twist the truth. Maybe they stay silent when others attack you. It hurts. And you want to scream. Here's the Stoic frame. Ask, did I truly know their character? Or did I project who I wanted them to be? Ask, what virtue do I need now, justice or detachment? Ask, what part of this is under my control? Then you act from principle. You either correct with dignity, or you cut with dignity. But you never lose dignity. 5. Teaching boundaries as acts of virtue. Stoicism doesn't mean staying in toxic relationships. It doesn't mean enduring abuse or excusing malice. It means you act in accordance with virtue, not vengeance. Setting a boundary is not cruelty, it's clarity. It is an act of justice and self-respect. Seneca wrote, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you. You cannot be calm if your environment is chaos. You cannot be wise if your company is unprincipled. So you choose. Who gets your time? Who gets access to your mind? Who gets to speak into your soul? And everyone else? Let them speak, but let it pass through you like wind through stone." 6. The difference between forgiveness and access. Forgiveness is an inner act. It's letting go of anger to protect your own peace. But access, who you allow into your life, that's a decision of judgment. The Stoic doesn't confuse the two. Forgive, yes. But that doesn't mean they deserve your time again. You don't have to reopen doors to people who broke the last ones. Forgiveness is a virtue. Naivety is not. 7. Exercise the betrayal journal. Start with this practice. Describe the betrayal plainly. Don't dramatize. Just facts. List the emotions it triggered. Write them all. Don't edit. Ask, what virtue would best serve me here? What would Marcus or Epictetus do? What is under my control? End the page with a Stoic sentence of resolve. Example. They do what they do. I choose who I become. 8. Building the inner temple, who you become through pain. Pain can either poison you or purify you. The Stoics believed every hardship was an invitation. Difficulties show what men are. Epictetus. The person who betrayed you gave you more than pain. They gave you a choice. Will you become bitter, reactive, cold? Or will you become sharper, clearer, freer? Calm is forged when you refuse to let the actions of others define your emotional state. That's not numbness. That's power. 9. When your family is the chaos. Some wounds come from blood. When the very people who raised you, or share your DNA, are the source of manipulation or trauma. The Stoic answer becomes even more important. Marcus Aurelius honored his father but didn't idealize him. He practiced acceptance without enmeshment. You can love from a distance. You can be kind without being compliant. You can honor who someone was without surrendering to who they are now. Sometimes silence is strength. Sometimes distance is peace. 10. How to stay calm when you want to strike back. Revenge is tempting. When someone lies about you, you want to expose them. When someone wrongs you, you want to hurt them back. But this is exactly where most people lose themselves. Seneca wrote, "He who does wrong is more wretched than he who suffers wrong." Why? Because when you retaliate with the same energy, you become what you hate. The Stoic chooses self-mastery over self-sabotage. You can protect yourself. You can speak truth. But always with calm principle, not explosive pain. 11. How to know when to walk away. Ask 3 questions. Is this person committed to growth? Have I communicated my boundary clearly? Do I feel more grounded or more unstable when they're around? If the answer to all 3 is negative, walk away with grace. Not because you're better, but because you choose peace over patterns. 12. The quiet dignity of withdrawal. There is a special kind of strength in choosing silence over spectacle. You don't always need to explain. You don't always need to prove your side. You don't need a scene or a speech. Just walk away. With clarity. With self-possession. With the calm of someone who knows who they are. Ending Tease, the deepest storm is still to come. You've learned how.